The night was cool and dark in San Bernardino County. For tow truck driver Jose Alfredo Lopez, it was just another shift, until the sheriff's department called. They needed a semi-truck towed, not from a breakdown, but as part of a police operation. Lopez, a trusted contractor, listened as they explained, moved the truck, evidence in a major case, straight to the station. He'd done jobs for law enforcement before, but this felt different, bigger. He started his engine. The dispatcher gave him the location, an industrial area, late at night. Lopez was a veteran driver, familiar with these roads and the routine. But as he drove, a dangerous idea crept in. He was heading toward a crossroads, literally and figuratively. At the scene, flashing lights and deputies surrounded a massive semi-truck. It looked ordinary, but the heavy police presence said otherwise. The deputies told him this truck was evidence, likely packed with cartel cash. "Take it straight to the station. Don't stop. Don't talk to anyone." Lopez nodded, hooked up the rig, and pulled away. But as he drove, the weight behind him felt different. He wasn't just towing steel and rubber. He was towing a secret worth millions. The deputies trusted him. They had no reason not to, but trust can be broken. And tonight, Lopez was about to shatter it. As the city lights faded in his rear view, so did his resolve. The temptation was overwhelming. He could deliver the truck and go home, or he could risk everything for a shot at a fortune. The fate of millions rested on the turn of his steering wheel. He made his choice. The man who started that drive was not the same man who would finish it. The night was no longer routine. It was the beginning of a heist that would make headlines. And Lopez was at the center of it all. The job was supposed to be simple. The sheriff's department had tracked the semi-truck, suspecting it was a cartel mule loaded with cash. Their plan: seize the truck, move it to a secure lot, and dismantle it for evidence. Lopez was the trusted driver, just moving cargo from point A to point B. Deputies thought the hard part was over. But as Lopez pulled onto the freeway, the real story began. He knew what was likely inside. Hidden compartments, millions in drug money. The temptation was real, the opportunity rare. Every mile was a chance to change his life. He could follow orders, deliver the truck, and go home. Or he could take a detour and risk everything. The choice was his alone. The deputies waited at the station, unaware their evidence was in the hands of a man with a plan. Lopez's mind raced with possibilities. The lure of easy money was too strong. The simple job was about to become a legendary crime. And the fate of $4.1 million hung in the balance. Lopez never made it to the sheriff's station. Somewhere along the route, he took a fateful turn, off the main road, into the shadows. This wasn't a random decision. It was a plan in motion. He drove to a secluded industrial yard, where a partner waited. The identity of this accomplice remains a mystery. Together, they prepared for a heist that would stun law enforcement. Meanwhile, deputies at the station grew uneasy. The truck was late. Lopez wasn't answering his phone. The routine tow had become a crisis. They realized too late, their evidence, and millions in cash, had vanished. Back in the yard, Lopez and his partner worked quickly. They had tools, a plan, and nerves of steel. Every minute increased their risk. But the promise of a fortune kept them moving. The world slept as they committed one of the boldest thefts in county history. The deputies scrambled for answers. But Lopez and his partner were already ghosts. The perfect crime was underway, and the clock was ticking. Hidden from view, Lopez and his accomplice sprang into action. They broke the locks, pried open the trailer, and searched for the hidden compartments. Inside, stacks of cash, bundled and packed tight. Millions in drug money. The sight was staggering. They worked fast, transferring the cash into their own bags. Every second was a risk, every sound a threat, but adrenaline fueled them. They emptied the secret compartments, leaving nothing behind. The heist was as simple as it was audacious. Trusted by police, Lopez had turned the system against itself. With the money secured, escape was all that mattered. They loaded up, ready to vanish. The deputies would soon discover their evidence was gone. Lopez and his partner had pulled off a multi-million-dollar theft in the dead of night. The heist was complete. Now they just had to disappear. The perfect crime, if they could get away with it. The chase was about to begin. With $4.1 million in hand, Lopez and his partner needed to vanish. First, they ditched the evidence. Lopez towed the empty semi to a random street and abandoned it. He then ditched his own tow truck, erasing his trail. The pair, and the cash, melted into the night. When deputies found the abandoned rig, their worst fears were confirmed. The cash was gone. The scene was a disaster for the sheriff's department. A trusted contractor had outsmarted them, walking away with millions. The manhunt began. But Lopez had a head start, no phone to track, and a partner no one could identify. He could be anywhere, across the border or hiding nearby. For investigators, it was a nightmare. The simple tow had become a high-stakes mystery. The search for Lopez and the missing millions was on. The case had just become the talk of the county, and the thieves were nowhere to be found. The perfect getaway, at least for now. The investigation exploded overnight. A multi-agency task force formed, Sheriff's Department, FBI, local police, all hunting Jose Alfredo Lopez. His face was everywhere, his name in every database. Investigators interviewed family, scoured security footage, and searched the suspected heist site for clues. They knew Lopez had a partner, but the accomplice was a ghost. For weeks, Lopez stayed hidden, living off the stolen cash. The longer he was gone, the colder the trail. But the task force was relentless. They watched his associates, monitored for big cash transactions, and waited for a mistake. It was a waiting game. Sooner or later they knew Lopez would slip up. The breakthrough came nearly a month later. Investigators tracked Lopez to a Los Angeles suburb. The arrest was swift. No drama, no chase. Lopez was taken into custody without resistance. For law enforcement, it was a victory, but the case was far from over. Only a fraction of the stolen money was recovered. The rest had vanished, along with the mysterious accomplice. Lopez refused to talk. The partner's identity remained a secret. The arrest closed one chapter, but the biggest questions lingered. Where was the money? Who was the second man? The mystery deepened, even as the main suspect sat behind bars. With Lopez in custody, the case moved to court. He faced charges of grand theft, embezzlement, and conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming. He was the trusted driver who vanished with millions. The trial was swift. Prosecutors laid out the timeline, the betrayal, and the missing millions. The jury found Lopez guilty on all counts. The dream of easy money had become a nightmare. At sentencing, the judge called it a brazen betrayal of trust. Lopez received 10 years in state prison, a message to anyone tempted by such crimes. Justice was served, but the story wasn't over. The missing millions and the phantom accomplice remained at large. Lopez went to prison, but the secrets of the heist stayed hidden. The courtroom drama ended, but the mystery endured. The law had caught up with Lopez, but the money was still out there. Jose Alfredo Lopez sits in prison, but the biggest questions remain. Where is the money? Authorities recovered only a fraction of the $4.1 million. Did Lopez hide it, launder it, or is it still out there, waiting to be found? And who was the accomplice? The partner's identity is still a mystery. As long as that person is free, the case is open. Law enforcement hasn't given up. The story of the great tow truck heist is a cautionary tale of greed and temptation. Lopez traded his freedom for a fortune he never got to spend. The final chapter is unwritten. For now, the mystery and the missing millions endure.